Yo, what's up guys? So we're here to showcase off the Generate Archetype, which is basically a boss monster deck. The first duel over here, the guy's obviously not playing something too strong, but it doesn't really matter. We're going to have multiple negates to the point where, one player is just going to be playing. The other person going to be watching and probably go swap to Fortnite very soon. But anyways, basically what the deck is all about is level 9 monsters and special summoning them during your opponent's turn and proccing certain effects here. So you have a bunch of these boss monsters that can be thrown in a lot of different decks. However, if you combine them all into one, you basically have like a rank 9 slash ability to kind of disrupt your opponent here. So the Interblathonier is going to go ahead and get rid of one card. So if we look at that like as a one card, or stopping at least one card, we also have the Masquerena, which is going to be another card that can go into Unicorn during your opponent's turn and stop something from going off. You also have the Generated Ice, which can negate a card, and if they were ever to add a card, which is pretty much most of the time before your opponent's going to be making a play, you can go into the Warrior Generate and stop another card. So if we want to look at this as like 1, 2, which is Masquerena, but basically we have 1 negate, 2 negate, 3 negate, and then we're also looking at a 4th negate with, of course, Sage bringing out another Generate and stopping your opponent from. Again, it doesn't matter what he's playing. I do want to go over this other player here, but which is basically showcasing off their boss monster, even though the whole deck is boss monsters, alright? The deck is very susceptible to hand traps, so definitely Called by the Grave, you want to max out on those if you're playing this deck. Because it is a deck that, I mean, they're all level 9s. How else are you going to get them out? With the exception of course, Monstrosity, which if you run any Turbo Ib variant, you can go ahead and get out. But anyways, the stage over here, whenever your opponent adds a card, you get to go ahead and special summon a Generate monster from your deck. It is in defense position, but it's still pretty decent because most of them, again, they're relatively strong in the defense zone anyways, and they will prevent your opponent from getting out a card. Usually, your opponent will search for a card to start their combo. They are, I would say, pretty reliant on that field spell, though, so Metaverse and any other cards like the Quick Play spell card when your opponent special summons. Yeah, definitely going to be great for this deck. You also have Martel, which can search out anything in the entire deck, which is absolutely insane. By the way, the tokens that you get when you special summon a Generate, they are destroyed during the end phase, but it doesn't really matter because you're going to be utilizing a lot of their effects to get rid of your token to get some type of a bonus effect over here. There's also some interesting tech over here, courtesy of Draxon's build. I've seen a lot more of the Grenmaju.exe builds too. This is not necessarily a new deck, but because of the new Metal Snake Orochi, also known as Gizmek now in the TCG, that card is just so great for this deck. But you can see 8 of Million is going to go ahead and get really strong. Grenmaju.exe going to be huge right now. It's got 7,900 attack. I mean, sometimes, dude, you get Darkhold Grenmaju, that's game. Anyways, here we finally see the Gormungander? I'll just call it the Generator of Eternity, probably mispronouncing it, but anyways, the name might get changed to TCG anyways. But this card over here is basically their boss of the deck. So basically his effect is that it gains attack equal to the amount of attachments, and then you can detach, as a quick effect, you can detach one material from this card, each player draws a card, then each player who draws one attaches from their hand or field to this card. So basically this card is going to get stronger and stronger, is kind of the goal of this card. And then also you have the Generate Territory. Whenever they try to do anything in response to a Generate, you can discard a card, and that effect becomes each player draws a card. So you're trying to make it so your opponent can't stop them, and then each player is just going to go and draw a card, but then they have to attach one, again, to the Generator of Eternity from the field as well, which is kind of interesting. So he's just going to give him Soul Disruption, because at this point he's like, dude, I have 27k life. I need to get something done right now. He actually activates Mirror Force, which is not that bad. Any of the Mirror Force variants against Grenmaju.exe, they can just go in for game relatively quick. But again, that was the whole point of this, is to show off their boss monster, and the fact that every time you summon one, you can just start spamming the board with tokens, so you can stall basically, so this card can get a lot of attack. You also have Frothier, the Generator Sword, which makes it so as a quick effect, you can attribute any number of generated monsters or warrior monsters and target that many monsters on the field and destroy them. So Nidhogg, in addition to this is just double negations here, and then you have this to get yourself all the tokens. And then if you happen to get rid of the other monsters, you might be able to get some type of bonus proc over here. Keep in mind there are tribute if it was Destroy, then this archetype would be so much better. And he's actually going to deck out the other guy, which is quite cool over here. But anyways, I got a few more replays to showcase off. But thank you, Draxon, for setting in that one. I thought that one was pretty cool. Now, this is going to be the other build that we saw before with the Brilliant Fusion. This one against the Fortune Fairies. Unfortunately, Fortune Fairies, which is another one of those new archetypes that just came out with, of course, the Samori. And then there's more new Senju support, but this is like our first introduction to Fortune Fairies now in the TCG. However, Fortune Fairies, unfortunately, they have a lot of problems. Not only is the deck like just not like S tier, they're cute cards, and I know a lot of people want to run them. However, when you draw multiple Fortune Fairies, as it's ruled right now, is that you cannot special summon multiple of them with the proc effects of any draw cards. So basically, they're nerfed to the point of the whole archetype not working like it's supposed to. I really feel like they should have changed it or added a card that lets you summon multiple off of, like, if you draw like 5 Fortune Fairies off one effect, you can only go for 1. And that's basically what it comes down to. This is another basic blah. Like, basically, you go for like or you go for Mardal. Mardal searches out whatever if you need Nidhogg or Fradir, and you basically just go off from the next turn. Or you could go for this, and this definitely works quite well with just special summoning doubles anyways, which is just the perfect card. Again, basically making it kind of an Ib turbo deck. Next up, we have it up against the Cyborg, which is this is another newer archetype that we just got in Rising Rampage. But this deck is outclassed. It's all about your opponent not having back row, which is pretty much in every single game anyways, because most people, like myself, just traps are relatively too slow in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now in 2019. But yeah, you do have those effects where you get to add the card or special summon the card when your opponent has no back row. But at the end of the day, you're still just playing Samorg, and there are better options for Link decks if you just want free extra summons. But Brilliant Fusion, great in the deck as well, just because this deck can really utilize Saryuja so well. Just being able to be like, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and summon something, and then you're going to go and proc the effective Odraptor for the Carbon. And then from there, you can go ahead and go for Ib. Basically, anything that you can just turbo out Ib with, and then go for the Monstrosity, that's basically the deck. We're going to go ahead and pop that card over there, so we can't have that. That card did have technically a little bit more attack, but the thing is that this deck is just going to overwhelm it. You also have Quest over here, which I didn't mention, but this lets you have consistency with the deck, because the deck needs this card. This card, to be able to special summon any Generate is really, really ridiculous. And then on top of that, since this can proc this, you're going to be able to go ahead and pretty much, again, the core concept of this boss monster deck is to go for Nidhogg as well as Fradir, so Ice and Sword are basically the go-to cards. And then, of course, the Mardal searches off whatever card you need, which can be any Generate. Pretty cool stuff. Now, there is a downside. You are giving your opponent the ability to draw, but if you can make Generate plus have, like, let's say, a Dark Law whenever they would draw a card, like, you could open the doors to pretty cool stuff. But anyways, now that you guys have seen the deck in action, I'm going to give you guys a brief little deck profile, but I do want to make some suggestions, so shout outs to both of you guys for hooking me up with the gameplay here, Draxon as well as Pot of Stupidity. But I think Called by the Grave would be an excellent card to the deck, because again, the deck is very fragile to hand traps. If you were to get one thing stopped, if you don't have a follow-up, yeah, like I mentioned before, these are all boss monsters, because that's the point of the deck. You could run into situations, if you don't have this, that your turn is just going to end right there. But if you have stage, you can kind of follow maybe on your opponent's turn, but again, the whole goal is usually to go into Saryuja, reset your hand, and then try, or you go for it, but usually that's going to be second. And then just try to make this during your opponent's turn. Go for one of these. You can even VFD or True King of All Calamities. Like, these are the options that you have for the deck to just kind of have a blowout, like instant win. But anyways, I'm going to give you guys one of the deck profiles, because this one was the one sent in by Pot of Stupidity, so thanks again, man. Anyways, this one's playing double Garnet, and then we got the Guard, and then 2 copies of Flames. I didn't go over this card's effect, but anyways, this card can protect your cards. If a card you control be destroyed battle by card effect, you can destroy a Generate monster or a Beast Warrior monster you control. So all of them have this effect where it's like either a Generate or a specific like type of a monster. I wish it was just, again, just destroy the monster instead of it being Beast Warrior, because again, this would make like dinosaurs in this deck really good. Then we went over Sword. This one searches out everything, and then Nidhogg's great as well. And then the Iron over here makes it so you contribute any number of them, and then generate monsters or machine monsters, and you get to special summon in defense because that many generate monsters from your hand that have different names. Again, a lot of times they're just running it because you need different names, of course, and original type. So just, again, this is just perfect for it. This one is for zombies, so the Generative Death lets you go for you tribute one generator or zombie, then you get to get another generator or zombie, so it gets recyclability for the other cards. And again, these are quick effects, so that's kind of great. This is just for the, of course, Carbon plays, and then we have the Trick Clown, obviously for your Brilliant Fusion plays, and of course the Plant Engine here, and then we've got Ash Blossom, and then Fossil Dig, Terraforming, because I think this is a very important card. Even Metaverse, like I mentioned before, it could be good to surprise your opponent, and then pretty much we've gone over everything, and this is the one where it's like you get to activate one immediately, which again goes back to this one. And the other build did have another card, which we want to talk about. I'm going to over the extra deck really quick so you guys can kind of get an idea. But I think the most important cards are honestly going to be these. It is so important, and obviously you need this for your Brilliant Fusion target, and you should be playing these in every single variant. This could be decent, but if you have a bunch of level 9s, you should be able to OTK your opponent anyways, but there are some circumstances where something has a bunch of attack. But I think these are just great additions to the deck. But anyways, I also want to, I'm going to watch replay here, so I can go ahead and go over some of the other cards that we didn't get to go over. Generate Bite lets you tribute any number of generated monsters and target exceed monster you control, and you need to attach the same number of generated monsters. I feel like this might be like a win harder card, but the fact that you can do it and surprise your opponent and maybe game them with it, it does have that ability to do that. And then obviously a territory, which we didn't get to really go over. This was playing some of the Ying Zings again for some of like the destruction, and like you'd also technically mix in the Fire Kings. They're supposed to be, I think, splashed into previous archetypes, like any variant of obviously Fire Kings, which I haven't seen them play in a long time, but you can still run Onslaught, which is great as well. But anyways, that's it for the generates. Now that you guys have seen some gameplay, I'm curious to know what you guys think of it. I think it could definitely be a Brick City for sure, but you could definitely go off. And again, when you happen to have the plays with this, this will get you either, it's usually going to get you Nidhogg or the other one, but if you can summon one and then go for the other one, that's 2 negates right there. This can get rid of one card, and then you have the surprise factor of Unicorn utilizing, of course, like once you've gone through some of your cards. You're looking at an average maybe anywhere from, I'd say 3 to 5 negates if you open up really good. I think on average, it's usually 3 negates is pretty consistent for this deck, but not too bad of a deck, and an early introduction to the deck. And obviously the deck can get quite good. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know your thoughts on this archetype down below now that you've seen it. And if you're new to the channel here, hit the subscribe button, turn on that bell so you don't miss out when you want to see new Yu-Gi-Oh content. And if you guys want to send me any other builds of Generates, be sure to see if there are any other builds or any other ways to splash them in other things, because again, they're basically boss monsters for other decks. I may make a Fire King one later down the line, but if any of you guys want to send in some replays, feel free to go ahead and do so and get shut out like the 2 other players, Pot of Stupidity and Draxler. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and peace.